nothing to me but another dead vampire.
Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes once seemed to have it all, a natural blend of charisma, martial arts prowess, and acting versatility that allowed him to transition seamlessly between genres, commanding up to $10 million per film at his peak.
I know you love Bleak, and it's beautiful.
He wasn't just an actor, he was a force in Hollywood, starring in iconic films like Blade, New Jack City, and White Men Can't Jump.
So Wesley, from the beginning, he came on the scene with everything. He's one of the most gifted actors ever. He could do it all.
However, his rise was not without challenges, and his fall was one of Hollywood's most spectacular and controversial.
Magical reality.
Today, we take a deep dive into the complex rise and fall of Wesley Snipes, examining how a star with immense talent and promise could see his career collapse due to a mix of legal troubles, personal choices, and shifting cultural landscapes. His story is a microcosm of the volatility that comes with fame and fortune. But how did it all happen? Let's start at the beginning. Wesley Trent Snipes was born on July 31, 1962, in Orlando, Florida, but he spent much of his childhood in the Bronx, New York. Growing up in the Bronx, Wesley's early exposure to theater and performance shaped his ambitions to pursue acting. At a young age, Wesley attended the High School of Performing Arts in New York, famously portrayed in the movie Fame. It was there that he honed his skills and developed a love for the stage. However, Snipes' family moved back to Florida before he could finish school in New York, and he graduated from Jones High School in Orlando. Despite the disruption, Wesley remained committed to his dream of becoming a performer, going on to study drama at the State University of New York. His time at SUNY Purchase was pivotal, not just in terms of refining his acting abilities, but also in exposing him to a diverse array of performance styles and techniques. Wesley was more than just an actor in training. He was a martial artist and an athlete, bringing a unique physicality to his performances. It wasn't long before Hollywood came knocking. Wesley's early career was marked by a string of smaller roles, but he quickly caught the attention of directors and casting agents due to his undeniable presence on screen. One of his first major breaks came in 1987 when he appeared in Michael Jackson's music video for Bad, directed by Martin Scorsese. Wesley's role as the leader of a rival gang showcased his ability to command attention, even in a short music video. The world began to notice Wesley Snipes, but he was far from an overnight success. Despite his appearance in Bad, Wesley struggled to land major roles in Hollywood. His early years were filled with bit parts in television shows like Miami Vice and smaller films that didn't exactly catapult him to stardom. During this time, he supported himself by working as a therapeutic masseuse and valet driver, doing whatever it took to keep his dream alive. His persistence paid off in 1989 when he landed a role in Major League, a sports comedy about a ragtag baseball team. Wesley's portrayal of Willie Mays Hayes, a speedy but overconfident center fielder, earned him praise and put him on Hollywood's radar. Major League was a commercial success, grossing over $75 million worldwide. For the first time, Wesley tasted fame, but with it came challenges. By the early 1990s, Wesley was ready to take Hollywood by storm, and his breakthrough came in 1991 with New Jack City. Directed by Mario Van Peebles, the film told the story of a drug kingpin, Nino Brown, rising to power during the crack cocaine epidemic in New York City. Wesley's portrayal of Nino was cold, calculated, and terrifying, earning him critical acclaim and proving that he could handle dramatic roles with gravitas. Nino Brown was the anti-hero audiences loved to hate, and Wesley's performance made him a star. In many ways, New Jack City was more than just a movie for Wesley. It was a cultural moment. The film resonated deeply with African-American audiences and provided a raw, unfiltered look at the realities of urban America in the late 1980s and early 1990s. For Wesley, it was a role that spoke to the systemic issues plaguing the Black community: poverty, drugs, and crime. His performance was layered and nuanced, humanizing a villain while addressing the larger societal issues that created men like Nino Brown. After New Jack City, Wesley solidified his status as one of Hollywood's leading Black actors. He starred in a string of successful films, including White Men Can't Jump, a sports comedy co-starring Woody Harrelson, and Passenger 57, an action film that established Wesley as a bona fide action star. Wesley's versatility was his strength, effortlessly transitioning from comedy to drama to action. He could do it all, and audiences couldn't get enough. While Wesley was on a meteoric rise, the Hollywood of the 1990s wasn't entirely ready for a black leading man. Despite his talent, Wesley faced obstacles in securing roles that were typically reserved for white actors. Hollywood executives often viewed black actors through a narrow lens, pigeonholing them into certain roles, usually gangsters or sidekicks. Wesley's dark skin and unconventional beauty were seen as barriers, and his agent revealed that studio heads even said they wouldn't cast anyone darker than Denzel Washington. However, Wesley refused to let Hollywood's prejudices dictate his career. He was determined to break down barriers and demanded to be seen as more than just a black actor. His choice of roles reflected this ambition. In Jungle Fever, 1991, directed by Spike Lee, Wesley played Flipper Purify, a successful architect who embarks on an interracial romance. The film explored the complexities of race and relationships, and Wesley's performance added depth to the ongoing conversation about race in America. But while Jungle Fever earned him critical acclaim, it also sparked controversy. Many black women criticized Wesley for perpetuating the stereotype of black men abandoning black women in favor of white partners. The criticism would follow him throughout his career, especially as he continued to take roles that involved interracial romance. Despite the controversy, Wesley's star continued to rise. In 1993, he starred opposite Sean Connery in Rising Sun, a crime thriller that showcased Wesley's ability to hold his own against Hollywood heavyweights. The film was a success, and Wesley's performance was praised for its intensity and nuance. Yet, behind the scenes, tensions were beginning to build. Chapter 5. The Birth of Blade, a superhero before his time. In the late 1990s, Wesley took on a role that would define his career, Blade. Based on the Marvel Comics character, Blade was a half-vampire, half-human vigilante who hunts down vampires. Released in 1998, Blade was a game-changer for Wesley and for Hollywood. At a time when superhero movies were not the juggernauts they are today, Blade was a massive success, grossing over $131 million worldwide and becoming a cult classic. Wesley's portrayal of the dark and brooding vampire hunter was iconic. His martial arts skills, combined with his natural charisma, made Blade one of the most memorable superhero characters of the era. The success of Blade paved the way for future superhero franchises, including the X-Men and Spider-Man films. In many ways, Wesley was ahead of his time, ushering in the modern era of superhero blockbusters before they became Hollywood's dominant genre. However, Blade was more than just another action movie. For Wesley, it was a deeply personal project. He had been a fan of the comic books growing up and saw Blade as an opportunity to bring a black superhero to the forefront. In a genre dominated by white characters, Wesley's Blade was groundbreaking. The character's success showed Hollywood that black-led action films could be profitable, and Wesley became one of the few black actors to lead a successful franchise. Part 2. The Pinnacle of Success and the Beginning of the Fall. Chapter 6. Blade Trilogy and the Rise of the Action Hero. As the 1990s drew to a close, Wesley Snipes was sitting at the pinnacle of his career, and the success of Blade only cemented his status as one of Hollywood's leading men. With his physical prowess and charisma, he transformed what could have been a forgettable comic book adaptation into a franchise-defining performance. For a black actor to lead a successful superhero franchise was a significant moment in film history. The 1998 release of Blade wasn't just a win for Wesley, it was a game-changer for Hollywood. The success of the film proved that comic book adaptations could be serious, gritty, and appeal to adult audiences. Wesley's Blade wasn't a clean-cut superhero with a cape. He was a dark, complex anti-hero that brought something fresh to the genre. In many ways, Blade paved the way for the wave of superhero films that dominated the 2000s, such as X-Men and Spider-Man. Off the screen, Wesley took the Blade role seriously. He trained extensively in martial arts, pushing himself to perform many of his stunts. Having been a student of various forms of martial arts from an early age, including Shotokan karate, Hapkido, and Kung Fu, Wesley's fight choreography in the Blade films stood out as authentic and electrifying. His ability to seamlessly blend acting with martial arts made him one of the most exciting stars to watch. After the first Blade film's success, Wesley reprised his role in two sequels, Blade 2, 2002, and Blade Trinity, 2004. Each sequel tried to build upon the world that the original film had created, but as is often the case with franchises, the magic started to wane with time. While Blade 2 was generally well received, Blade Trinity faced significant problems during production, setting the stage for what would become one of the major turning points in Wesley's career. Chapter 7. Turmoil Behind the Scenes. The Blade Trinity Debacle. On the surface, Blade Trinity seemed like it would be another action-packed installment in a successful franchise. However, behind the scenes, the production was riddled with turmoil, much of it stemming from tension between Wesley and the film's director, David S. Goyer. The discord between the two became infamous in Hollywood and, according to multiple accounts, led to a deeply troubled set where communication between Wesley and Goyer broke down completely. Reportedly, Wesley was unhappy with Goyer's direction for the film and the decision to shift the focus away from Blade as the central character. Instead, Goyer introduced new characters, played by Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, that shared the spotlight, which didn't sit well with Wesley. Frustrated by the creative choices being made, Wesley began isolating himself from the cast and crew, allegedly only communicating with Goyer through handwritten notes and refusing to film certain scenes. The tensions on set reached a boiling point when, according to Patton Oswalt, who appeared in the film, Wesley stayed in character as Blade throughout filming and made it difficult for others to interact with him. Oswalt even recounted a bizarre moment when Wesley allegedly attempted to strangle Goyer after a heated argument, though this account has been disputed by other sources. Regardless of the veracity of these claims, one thing was clear. The experience of filming Blade Trinity was disastrous for Wesley. It not only strained his relationships within the industry, but the film itself was a critical disappointment, receiving poor reviews and marking the end of the Blade franchise. Worse still, Blade Trinity marked the beginning of Wesley's career decline, as rumors of his difficult behavior began to circulate widely in Hollywood. Chapter 8. The Tax Scandal That Shook Hollywood. While the Blade franchise may have marked a turning point in Wesley's on-screen career, it was his off-screen troubles that would ultimately deal the greatest blow to his reputation. In 2006, Wesley Snipes was indicted on multiple counts of tax fraud, and the scandal that followed would dominate headlines for years to come. According to the U.S. government, Wesley had failed to file federal income tax returns for several years, allegedly owing nearly $12 million in back taxes. The case against Wesley was part of a larger investigation into a group of tax protesters who promoted a conspiracy theory that paying taxes was voluntary and that the U.S. government had no legal authority to impose income taxes. Wesley's involvement with these individuals would come back to haunt him. At the heart of the case was Wesley's claim that he had been misled by advisors who convinced him that he didn't have to pay taxes. These advisors, part of a fringe anti-tax movement, promoted the idea that the IRS had no authority to collect taxes and that citizens could lawfully refuse to pay. Wesley, along with two other individuals, was charged with conspiracy to defraud the government and 6 counts of willfully failing to file tax returns. Wesley's defense argued that he was a victim of bad advice and that he genuinely believed he wasn't required to pay taxes. However, the court saw things differently. In 2008, Wesley was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts of failing to file tax returns, though he was acquitted of the more serious felony charges of tax fraud and conspiracy. Nevertheless, the conviction was a significant blow to his career and reputation. Wesley was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison, which he began serving in December 2010. The once prominent action star was now behind bars, and his career had come to a grinding halt. Chapter 9. The Cultural Shift. Hollywood Moves On. By the time Wesley was released from prison in 2013, the Hollywood landscape had shifted dramatically. The world of superhero films, which Wesley had helped pioneer with Blade, was now dominated by massive franchises like The Avengers and The Dark Knight. Wesley's absence during a critical time in the industry meant that he had missed out on numerous opportunities, and younger actors had taken his place as Hollywood's go-to action stars. Moreover, the rise of streaming platforms like Netflix and Hulu changed the way movies were made and consumed. While Wesley's early career had been built on traditional box office successes, the industry had shifted toward digital streaming and franchise-driven tentpole films. This left Wesley in a precarious position. He was a star of the past, trying to navigate an industry that had moved on without him. Additionally, Wesley's reputation as a difficult actor followed him even after his release from prison. The stories from the Blade, Trinity set, combined with the high-profile nature of his tax scandal, made him a risky proposition for major studios. The combination of legal troubles, changing industry dynamics, and his age made it difficult for Wesley to reclaim the leading man status he had once enjoyed. Chapter 10. Redemption and Reinvention, Wesley's Comeback Attempt. Despite the setbacks, Wesley Snipes wasn't ready to give up on his career. After his release from prison, he began working on a slow but steady comeback. He made his return to the big screen in 2014, appearing in The Expendables 3, an action film featuring an ensemble cast of action stars from the 1980s and 1990s, including Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Jason Statham. The film was a modest success, but more importantly, it marked Wesley's return to the spotlight. In The Expendables 3, Wesley's character even made a tongue-in-cheek reference to his time in prison, with one of his first lines in the movie being, "I was in jail for tax evasion." The self-awareness and humor in the role showed that Wesley was willing to confront his past mistakes head-on, and audiences appreciated his candidness. Following The Expendables 3, Wesley appeared in a few more films, including Chirac, a satirical drama directed by Spike Lee, and Armed Response, a low-budget thriller. While these roles didn't necessarily signal a full career resurgence, they indicated that Wesley was still determined to work and rebuild his reputation. Part 3. Reinvention and Legacy. Chapter 11. Post-Prison Renaissance, Navigating a New Industry. After his release from prison and appearance in The Expendables 3, Wesley Snipes found himself in an industry that had dramatically changed during his absence. The digital revolution was in full swing, and streaming services were producing original content at a rate never before seen in Hollywood. The shift in the entertainment landscape presented both challenges and opportunities for a veteran actor like Wesley. With the rise of Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, there was suddenly more content than ever, but also more competition for roles. Wesley took advantage of these opportunities by appearing in several streaming productions. He landed a recurring role in The Player, 2015, a crime drama series on NBC. While the show was short-lived, it demonstrated Wesley's ability to adapt to television, an area he had largely avoided in the past. This move was emblematic of the changes he had to embrace in order to survive in Hollywood's new world order. More significantly, Wesley appeared in Dolomite Is My Name, 2019, a Netflix biographical comedy film starring Eddie Murphy as blaxploitation legend Rudy Ray Moore. Wesley played Derville Martin, real-life actor and director who worked with Moore. The film was not only a critical success but a personal triumph for Wesley, who received some of the best reviews of his career for his performance. His role was praised for its humor, charm, and self-awareness, with critics noting that Wesley had matured as an actor, showing a range that had previously been underutilized. In a way, Dolomite Is My Name represented a full-circle moment for Wesley. He was back on screen, working with an all-black cast, and reconnecting with his roots in black cinema. It was a far cry from the days when his comments about dating white women had caused controversy. This project allowed Wesley to return to the world of black entertainment in a meaningful way, at a time when black filmmakers, actors, and storytellers were making significant strides in Hollywood. Chapter 12. Financial Troubles and the Long Road to Stability. While Wesley's on-screen comeback was taking shape, his financial situation remained precarious. The tax scandal had left him in deep financial trouble, with significant legal fees and back taxes still owed to the IRS. Even though he had served his prison time, the consequences of his tax evasion case would follow him for years. Throughout his career, Wesley had lived a lavish lifestyle, enjoying the fruits of his success with expensive homes, luxury cars, and other indulgences. However, his financial mismanagement, combined with his legal woes, forced him to reassess his spending habits and priorities. In interviews following his release from prison, Wesley spoke candidly about the lessons he had learned, expressing a newfound humility and commitment to rebuilding both his personal and professional life. This period of financial uncertainty highlighted the reality faced by many actors who experienced the highs and lows of Hollywood. Wesley had been a leading man, commanding millions per film, but his fall from grace and the costs of his legal troubles left him in a position where he had to hustle for work to stabilize his financial situation. The extravagant lifestyle that Hollywood often celebrates came with real consequences, and Wesley's story serves as a cautionary tale for younger actors navigating the industry. Chapter 13. Reflections on Fame and the Price of Success. As Wesley worked to re-establish himself in the industry, he often reflected on the nature of fame and the price he had paid for his success. In interviews, he spoke about how the pressures of stardom had affected him, contributing to some of the mistakes he made along the way. He admitted that his ego had grown during the height of his career, leading him to make decisions that alienated people in the industry and damaged his reputation. Looking back, Wesley acknowledged that he hadn't fully appreciated the fleeting nature of fame and the importance of nurturing relationships with colleagues, fans, and the media. His comments during the Vibe magazine interview in 1993, where he made controversial statements about dating black women, had long-lasting repercussions that he didn't anticipate at the time. The backlash he faced from the black community, especially black women, was something he had to grapple with throughout his career. Wesley's journey through fame and scandal also made him reflect on his role as a black actor in Hollywood. During the 1990s, he had broken barriers as one of the few black leading men in a predominantly white industry. However, his relationship with the black community became strained as his career progressed, particularly because of his comments about interracial dating. In retrospect, Wesley expressed regret for the way he had handled certain aspects of his public image, acknowledging that his words had hurt people who had supported him from the beginning. Chapter 14. The Influence of Martial Arts and Spiritual Growth. One constant throughout Wesley Snipes' life and career has been his dedication to martial arts. He began training in martial arts at the age of 12 and has earned black belts in multiple disciplines, including Shotokan karate and Hapkido. His love for martial arts not only influenced his roles in action films, but also shaped his personal philosophy and approach to life. Wesley often described martial arts as a spiritual practice that gave him discipline and focus. During his time in prison, martial arts became a source of solace for him, helping him to maintain his physical and mental health. In interviews, he explained that martial arts had taught him patience and humility, lessons that he took to heart during his time behind bars. Wesley's spiritual journey also deepened during this period. While he had always been a private person when it came to his faith, he began to speak more openly about his spiritual beliefs after his release from prison. He explored various philosophical and religious traditions, drawing on elements from Eastern spirituality, Christianity, and African heritage. For Wesley, the combination of martial arts and spirituality offered a way to navigate the challenges he faced in his life and career. His connection to martial arts also inspired him to take on roles that emphasized physical prowess and mental toughness. Whether playing the vampire Hunter Blade or the martial arts master in Art of War, Wesley often chose characters who reflected his own dedication to martial arts. These roles allowed him to showcase his skills while also reinforcing the idea that martial arts was more than just a physical discipline. It was a way of life. Chapter 15. Hollywood's Changing Attitudes and the Road to Redemption. As Hollywood began to grapple with issues of diversity and representation in the 2010s, Wesley Snipes found himself at the intersection of these conversations. The industry had come a long way since the 1990s when Wesley was one of the few black actors to lead major films. With the rise of filmmakers like Ryan Coogler, Black Panther, and Ava DuVernay, Selma, black stories were being told on a scale that hadn't been possible in previous decades. For Wesley, this shift in Hollywood's attitudes represented both a challenge and an opportunity. On one hand, his past controversies and legal troubles made it difficult for him to reclaim his position as a leading man. On the other hand, the growing demand for diverse voices in Hollywood opened the door for new collaborations and projects that could help him re-establish himself. Wesley was aware of the need to evolve with the times. In interviews, he expressed excitement about the changes happening in the industry, particularly the increased opportunities for black actors, directors, and writers. He spoke about his desire to contribute to this movement by working on projects that highlighted black excellence and told stories that had been overlooked in Hollywood for too long. Chapter 16. The role of black cinema in Wesley's career and legacy. Throughout Wesley Snipes' career, black cinema played a crucial role in shaping his identity as an actor and filmmaker. From his early roles in films like New Jack City to his more recent work in Dolomite Is My Name, Wesley has been a key figure in the evolution of black cinema. His collaborations with directors like Spike Lee and Mario Van Peebles helped bring black stories to the forefront at a time when Hollywood was reluctant to invest in films with predominantly black casts. Wesley's involvement in black cinema wasn't just limited to his on-screen work. He also became a producer and advocate for black filmmakers, using his platform to support projects that centered on black voices. His production company, Amin RA Films, was founded with the goal of producing films that explored the black experience and provided opportunities for black talent both in front of and behind the camera. Even during his most challenging times, Wesley remained committed to advancing black cinema. In his later years, he expressed a desire to work with the next generation of black filmmakers, offering mentorship and guidance to those looking to break into the industry. For Wesley, black cinema was not just a genre, it was a cultural movement that he wanted to be part of for the long haul. Part 4. Personal Life, Fatherhood, and the Quest for Redemption. Chapter 17. Wesley Snipes as a Father, Navigating Fame and Family. While Wesley Snipes' career was often the focal point of public attention, his role as a father remained a deeply personal and cherished aspect of his life. Wesley is a father to 5 children, and despite the chaos of his professional ups and downs, he has always prioritized his family. His experience as a father profoundly shaped his worldview and informed his decisions both on and off the screen. Wesley has spoken openly in interviews about the challenges of raising children in the spotlight. Unlike many celebrities who embrace public scrutiny, Wesley opted to keep his children out of the media, allowing them to lead more private lives. His desire to shield them from the harsh realities of fame stemmed from his understanding of how unpredictable and intrusive the entertainment industry could be. During his time in prison, one of the most difficult aspects was being separated from his children. Wesley has described this period as an opportunity for reflection and growth, particularly when it came to his role as a father. He wanted to ensure that, despite his absence, his children knew they were loved and supported. After his release, Wesley made it a point to spend more time with his family and focus on rebuilding those connections that had been strained during his legal troubles. In interviews, Wesley often emphasized the importance of teaching his children values like discipline, humility, and resilience, traits he learned through his martial arts training. He viewed his role as a father as not just providing for his children, but also equipping them with the tools they would need to navigate life's challenges, especially in a world that could be as unforgiving as Hollywood. Chapter 18. Relationships, Love, and Controversy. Wesley Snipes' personal relationships have been the subject of public scrutiny throughout his career, especially following his controversial comments about interracial dating in the 1990s. While Wesley has always been candid about his dating preferences, his relationships, both romantic and platonic, have often stirred controversy and fueled media speculation. Wesley was married to April Dubois from 1985 to 1990, and they had one son, Jelani. After their divorce, Wesley dated several high-profile women, including Halle Berry and Jada Pinkett. His relationship with Berry was particularly notable due to allegations that Wesley had been physically abusive during their time together. Berry has never publicly named her abuser, but it was widely speculated that she was referring to Wesley in interviews where she discussed an abusive relationship that left her partially deaf in one ear. Wesley has always denied these allegations, and the rumors remain unsubstantiated. However, the speculation has lingered throughout his career, casting a shadow over his reputation in the eyes of some fans and critics. In 2003, Wesley married Nikki Park, a South Korean painter. Together, they have 4 children. Their relationship has been more private compared to his previous romances, with Nikki choosing to stay out of the spotlight. The couple's interracial marriage also garnered attention, particularly in light of Wesley's previous comments about dating outside of his race. For Wesley, Nikki represented stability and support during a time when his career was in flux. Despite the controversies surrounding his relationships, Wesley has often spoken about the importance of love and companionship. He described his marriage to Nikki as one built on mutual respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to raising their children in a loving environment. Chapter 19. Mentorship and his role in uplifting others. As Wesley Snipes entered the later stages of his career, he shifted his focus toward mentorship and supporting the next generation of actors, directors, and producers. Recognizing the difficulties he faced as a black actor in Hollywood, Wesley became a vocal advocate for diversity and representation within the industry. In interviews, Wesley often reflected on the importance of mentorship, particularly for young black artists looking to break into Hollywood. He understood firsthand the challenges of navigating an industry that had historically sidelined black talent, and he wanted to use his platform to uplift those who were following in his footsteps. He frequently spoke about the significance of creating opportunities for black filmmakers and telling stories that represented the black experience authentically. Wesley's production company, Amen Films, played a key role in his efforts to support independent filmmakers and create space for more diverse narratives in Hollywood. Through Amen, Wesley produced several films and television projects that centered on black stories, including both action films and dramas that explored African heritage and history. He also took on mentorship roles in various film and martial arts circles, often giving talks at industry events and training younger actors. Wesley saw martial arts not just as a physical discipline but as a tool for self-development, one that could help young people build character, discipline, and focus, qualities that would serve them well both in Hollywood and in life. Wesley's mentorship extended beyond the entertainment industry. He became involved in philanthropic efforts, particularly in initiatives aimed at supporting underprivileged youth. Whether through martial arts programs or mentorship workshops, Wesley sought to give back to the communities that had supported him throughout his journey. Chapter 20. Cultural Shifts and the Changing Face of Hollywood. One of the most striking aspects of Wesley Snipes' career is how it intersected with major cultural and industry shifts. From the early 1990s to the present day, Wesley has been a part of some of Hollywood's most significant changes regarding diversity, representation, and the roles available to black actors. When Wesley first rose to prominence in the late 1980s, black actors were largely relegated to supporting roles or stereotypical characters. Wesley's success in action films, dramas, and comedies helped challenge these norms. He was one of the few black actors to lead a major action franchise, Blade, and consistently proved his range by taking on a variety of roles, from crime dramas to romantic comedies. However, the cultural landscape was not always welcoming. Wesley often spoke about the barriers he faced, particularly in terms of Hollywood's perception of black masculinity. His agents' comment that executives didn't want to cast anyone darker than Denzel Washington was indicative of the industry's biases at the time. Wesley's early success in breaking down these barriers was groundbreaking, but it also came with challenges as he navigated the expectations placed on him as one of Hollywood's few black leading men. In the years following Wesley's rise, Hollywood underwent significant changes. The 2010s saw an increasing demand for more inclusive storytelling, with films like Black Panther and Moonlight achieving both critical and commercial success. Black filmmakers like Ryan Coogler, Jordan Peele, and Ava DuVernay became key figures in reshaping Hollywood's landscape, creating opportunities for black actors and filmmakers to tell stories that resonated with a global audience. For Wesley, these changes were long overdue. He expressed pride in seeing a new generation of black talent take center stage, but he also acknowledged the difficulties that still persisted within the industry. The lessons Wesley learned throughout his career were now being passed on to younger actors who looked to him as both a trailblazer and a cautionary tale. Chapter 21. Independent Filmmaking. Wesley's continued passion. While Wesley Snipes had achieved fame through big-budget Hollywood films, his passion for independent filmmaking remained constant throughout his career. In fact, some of Wesley's most personal and meaningful projects came from his work outside the Hollywood system. During the 2000s, when his career was stalling due to legal troubles, Wesley began exploring smaller, independent projects. These films often had lower budgets and less mainstream appeal, but they allowed Wesley to experiment creatively and work on stories that resonated with him on a deeper level. He produced and starred in several independent films, some of which explored African culture, history, and heritage. Wesley's love for independent filmmaking stemmed from his desire to tell stories that Hollywood often overlooked. As an actor, he valued the creative freedom that independent projects afforded him. Without the pressures of box office expectations, He could take on roles that challenged him in new ways and pushed him as an artist. This passion for independent filmmaking continued into his later career, even after his return to Hollywood. With Dolomite Is My Name, Wesley made it clear that he was still interested in producing and starring in smaller, more intimate projects. He remained committed to telling stories that reflected the richness and diversity of Black culture, both in America and across the African diaspora. For Wesley, independent filmmaking was not just a means of creative expression. It was also a way to maintain his connection to his roots and ensure that the stories of marginalized communities were told with authenticity and care. Chapter 22. Wesley Snipes' Legacy, A Life of Triumphs and Trials. Wesley Snipes' career is one that has seen tremendous highs and painful lows. He has experienced the glamour and fame of Hollywood success, but he has also faced the harsh realities of scandal, legal battles, and personal struggles. Through it all, Wesley has remained a resilient figure, adapting to the changing tides of the industry and working to rebuild his career on his own terms. Wesley's legacy is complex. He was one of the first Black actors to break through Hollywood's barriers, proving that Black men could lead action films and command multimillion-dollar salaries. He helped redefine Black masculinity on screen, showing that Black actors could be both tough and vulnerable, heroes and anti-heroes. At the same time, Wesley's career has been marred by controversy. His legal troubles, particularly his tax evasion case, cast a long shadow over his achievements, and his comments about interracial dating alienated some of his core fan base. Yet, despite these setbacks, Wesley's talent, charisma, and determination have ensured that he remains an influential figure in Hollywood. As Wesley continues to work in film and television, his story serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by Black actors in an industry that has historically been reluctant to embrace diversity.